Hong-joo gets news that her followers failed to find Yeon-hee when she fell. She then performs the ritual, but feels strange in her body, seeing veins popping on her hands. She remembers Hae-ran's warning that black magic will harm her. At the palace, Crown Prince Soonhwae wakes up, and his hair is back to black. Queen Shim is relieved, as is Pyongyang, who is cured of the curse on his neck. Meanwhile, Yeogwon is saved by a mysterious man who gives him a spell. Dong-rae is tortured by Hyo-ok's men demanding information about Hyo-jun. Hyo-jun himself wakes up from his faint and is surprised when his wounds miraculously heal. He immediately remembers his mother, who is about to leave for Ming. Hyo-chan's mother, who was waiting at the harbor, was attacked by Hyo-ok because she tried to escape. As the torch burns down the house, Hyo-ok panics and uses Hyo-chan's mother as a foothold to escape. Hyo-chan arrives and manages to save his mother, but she dies in his arms. Hyo-ok comes home scared. Pang-hyun calms him down, blaming the disaster on a slave's fate. At the palace, the crown prince eats heartily, making the queen dowager happy. However, Queen Shim suspects something is wrong and challenges Hong-joo. When Hong-joo disappears, the crown prince suddenly turns pale and eventually dies. Queen Shim and the queen dowager are devastated. Hong-joo, from a distance, reminisces about the night she pulled the black spirit from the crown prince's body because she was angry at Queen Shim. Meanwhile, Hyo-jun mourns at his mother's grave and begins to suspect Hyo-ok after finding his mother's ring on him. 5 years have passed. Rumors about the mysterious girl in the forest and the man in the red robe continue to spread. Hyo-jun pretends to gamble with some men to catch a fugitive conman to help Hyo-ok, who works for the police. The two young men who are the targets are upset because they fell into Hyo-jun's trap. Hyo-ok is proud of her boss's praise and is determined to get the promotion that is coming soon. Hyo-ok visits Hyo-chan's residence to give him a reward for helping her. Hyo-chan's life changed 5 years ago. He started hanging out with women and enjoying life. Yeon-hee, now named Sae-ron, lives in Chongbin Temple, trying to light 108 candles to remove her curse. She only needs to light 8 more candles, but has not been able to light even one for 6 months. In the village, a man's body was found hanging with severe injuries. The villagers were terrified, thinking the perpetrator was wearing a red robe. Yeogwon is taking the hope label, as per Yeon-hee's order. He doesn't know if he is followed by someone in a red robe, but in the middle of the journey, he feels like he is being followed. He tries to trick him. At the same time, an arrow is aimed at the person in the red robe, but he manages to avoid it. It turns out that it was Pyongyang's doing. They fight, but fail to catch him because he has been surrounded by sand, making him lose his sight. At the palace, the king is furious and orders a massive search for the red-robed assassin. The king himself is suffering from a mysterious illness, blood and pus coming out of his body. He refuses the help of Queen Shim, who is worried. The queen suspects the illness is a curse and orders a massive search for Hong-joo. On the other hand, Hae-ran is still alive but unconscious and under Hong-joo's supervision. Core is tidying up her medicine-making place. She feels something is missing, and sure enough, the bell Pyongyang gave her falls to the ground. When she picks it up, the memory of her brother's promise comes back to her mind. The promise that Pyongyang will come if the bell is rung. Her daydream was broken by Yeogwon's arrival. She immediately diverted her attention, asking Yeogwon to find medicinal plants to make a magic potion. Yeogwon agreed, but his heart remembered Hae-ran's message. The curse must be lifted before the North Star disappears, or the lives of those who intend to risk it. He was determined to help Sae-ron complete their plan. At night, Jisung Manwol pours out her heart to her friend about her unrequited love. Her friend tries to give her advice, but Manwol is deemed to be a complete lack of flirting talent. Things escalate when another Gisong steps in and asks Manwol to continue her work. To lighten the mood, Manwol takes her friend out. Hyo-jun watches Hyo-ok go to the Jisung area, greeted by enthusiastic merchants selling their goods. Manwol's friend intends to leave the area, but accidentally overhears a conversation between a merchant who offers his goods to Hyo-ok and uses a business agreement as proof. Although hesitant at first, Hyo-ok accepts it because of the gift of a gemstone ring. The merchant secretly meets someone and gives a secret document. He is Hyo-chan's agent, who intends to bring down Hyo-ok. However, the plan is secretly witnessed by Manwol's friend, who then follows the merchant. He continues to follow him and manages to find the document storage, but is caught by Hyo-ok, who was suspicious, sent Battersea to find the merchant. They caught him, but the merchant claimed that he no longer had any documents and only worked for a scholar. When Hyo-ok started to get confused, someone appeared who claimed to know who the scholar was. Hyo-jun remembers Yeon-hee when he sees the fruit she ate before. Manwol, who plays the harp, offers a drink, but Hyo-jun refuses because he feels Manwol has changed. He claims he wants to be beautiful and go to the 100-year tree. His hope is read by Sae-ron, who then concocts a potion. After drinking it, Manwol becomes beautiful. Feeling happy, he sends a letter to Hyo-jin, but Daebok entrusts the letter to Hyo-jin, and she opens it. Pyongyang meets Hong-joo, who asks him to cooperate so she can meet the king, but he refuses. Hyo-ok is arrested for bribery. Manwol goes to the meeting place, but is killed by Red Robe. Yeogwon finds her body and fails to catch the perpetrator. Core from the temple realizes something is wrong when the wishing candle goes out. The magic potion she made for Manwol was unable to save the girl, who was killed by the red cloak on her way to meet Hyo. Yeogwon chases the killer, but fails. He takes the candle back to the temple, and Sae-ron cries in disappointment as her wish fails again. They only have 49 days left. Hyo-ok traps Hyo-jun with Manwol's letter, accusing him of being a red robe. Hyo-jun tries to escape, chased by officers, until he finally falls off a cliff. But before he hits the ground, his body is suspended in the air because Hyo-ah, aka Yoo-hae, comes to save him using her spiritual powers. Hong-joo manages to put Manwol's heart into the spirit jar, bringing back her powers. She looks at the still unconscious Hyo and smiles triumphantly. One step closer to breaking the curse she has been guarding. Yeogwon panics when he sees the talismanic shield burning, looking for Sae-ron, who came out of the temple. Sae-ron finds Hyo-jun, who has passed out. She is relieved that he is still alive. When Hyo-jun regained consciousness for a moment, Sae-ron hurriedly turned her body so that her face could not be seen. Sae-ron then finds a bell that looks like her sister's and rings it, attracting the attention of Hong-joo's followers who are looking for the crown princess. When she was about to take Hyo-jun away, Sae-ron had difficulty, but Yeogwon came to help. Hong-joo is furious at losing track of Sae-ron. She orders the area to be heavily guarded and the crown princess brought back alive. Yeogwon asks Sae-ron about Hyo-jun, and Sae-ron claims she just wanted to ask him something and tells him to leave. Yeogwon agrees but stresses the importance of Sae-ron staying at the temple. He is also surprised when the talismanic shield is intact again. Hyo-ok and the officers fail to find Hyo-jun. Pyongyang, who claims to be the royal guard, orders them to comb the river. Pyongyang finds the black bag but loses the golden bell. Hyo-jin wakes up in the cave and walks around looking at the sides and things there. He goes to the medicine shop and finds a memory potion, then sees the Book of Demon Extermination. He laughs at it, thinking it's a marketing trick, just like he did selling herbal drinks. Because he was curious, he drank the potion until it was finished and read the book in detail. Accidentally, his clothes were exposed to fire from the candle and caused the book to burn. Hyo-jun panicked. Yeogwon came to help put out the fire. Hyo-jun threw the book into the river. Yeogwang, who saw it, was annoyed and intended to stab him with a sword, but before he could do anything further, Sae-ron came and found out that the book was damaged. Sae-ron chastises Hae-jun, but changes her mind when Hae-jun shows that he has memorized the contents of the scripture. She is given until the next day to prove her ability. At the palace, the king appoints Heo-ok as captain of the royal guard after claiming to have found the red cloak perpetrator, even though Pyongyang has informed him that the body does not match what he knows. Heo-jun helps Seo make a forgetfulness potion and becomes increasingly suspicious of the woman's identity. Seo makes the potion to give to Hae-jun when he has successfully completed rewriting the scripture, as per his agreement with Yeogwang. The king suffers from a mysterious illness, and Queen Shim suspects it and sends a maid to find out the truth. Pyongyang falls into an illusion trap that makes him chase after the fake Yoon-hee, leaving the king behind. The king is kidnapped and meets Hong-joo. Hong-joo is pleased to hear that the king's illness has returned and begins to approach the king under the pretense of wanting to cure him. She uses black magic to remove the king's wounds and ties him up for an undisclosed reward. Pyongyang, who realizes that the king is missing, tries to look for him and finds him in the forest, but the king lies about his whereabouts. Heo-jun is confused when Yeogwang comes with meat and new clothes. Yeogwang thinks the book is finished, but Heo-jun claims he is still writing. Heo-jun changes his clothes. Yeogwang accidentally sees a mysterious pattern on his chest, feeling familiar. Queen Shim's maid, who was sent to watch the king, was killed by Hong-joo's followers. After putting the forgetfulness potion, Seo accidentally sees Heo-jun, who seems to be sleeping. She approaches and almost touches his cheek hesitantly. When she is about to thwart her intention, her hand is held. Heo-jun opens his eyes and calls himself Persimmon, the nickname he uses for Yeon-hee, making Seo surprised. Seo confirms to Heo-jun that she is not the woman he knows. She is only interested in the Book of Demonic Extermination and refuses Heo-jun's help. Even though Heo-jun begs and wants to help, Seo stands her ground. She intends to finish the book immediately and leave. Their conversation is witnessed by Yeogwang. Sae-ron tries to calm herself down, remembering Hong-joo's words that someone will get hurt if they love her. Yeogwang comes, saying that Heo-jun has finished copying the scripture and intends to give her a forgetfulness potion. Sae-ron hesitates, but eventually gives it to him. In the morning, Heo-jun approaches Seo, but does not hand over the book directly and chooses to leave after putting it down. He and Yeogwang then leave the temple. After they successfully reach the top, their Yeogwang carries out his action to make Heo-jun drink a forgetful potion. Heo-jun realizes that this drink is a forgetful potion and still drinks it sadly, because he feels that Seo wants him to forget her. King Seonjo considers reactivating the Shaman Council at Hong-joo's urging in order to cure her illness. Queen Shim opposes it, fearing the same repercussions as before. However, the king persists and ignores the warnings. That evening, Queen Shim begged the king to cancel his intention. In the king's chamber, Hong-joo then summons the crown prince's spirit and puts it inside the king's body. Queen Shim is very surprised when the king transforms into the crown prince and calls her mother. She feels happy because she can see her son. Hong-joo feels that Queen Shim has entered into her plan. She tries to offer Queen Shim a way to be able to see Crown Prince Soonhwae. After that incident, Queen Shim agrees to reopen the Shaman Council. Hong-joo convinces her that the Crown Prince is still alive in spirit form and needs a body, namely the king's body. She also convinces her that this is the right thing to do because the king's throne actually belongs to Heo-jun, who has become a fugitive, goes undercover and searches for evidence of the truth at Manuel's death scene. He teams up with Manuel's female friend to frame Heo-ok. He manages to warn Heo-ok to stay alive, as he is determined to reveal the identity of Red Robe. Heo-jun investigates the scene of Manuel's death, and sees the previous incident where Man-wol was stabbed by Red Robe. Pung-yeon and Sung-jae find out from the Ji-sungs. Mi-hung claims to have seen Man-wol drinking the potion at the 100-year tree. Hyo-jun disguises himself as a woman to investigate Man-wol's room, but is discovered. He runs away, but is eventually caught by Pung-yeon.
난 아니야. 붉은 덕후. 알아. 붉은 덕후 그 새끼 미치도록 잡고 싶어.
Despite not finding any scars or golden bells on him, Pung-yeon still detains him because he suspects he is involved with the Red Robes. Hyo-jun is imprisoned in the palace and will be interrogated the next morning. He feels displeased, but helpless. Yeogwon panics when the shield talisman starts burning and tries to find out the truth. He finds the answer in the Bible of 5 prayers, where the symbol on Hyo-chun's body indicates that he is a human shield. He regrets and is frustrated because he gave the forgetting potion. Yeogwon rescues Hyo-jun in disguise and sends him to Chongbin Temple. Meanwhile, the protective amulet in the temple catches fire because Hae-ran touches the symbol on the hill and makes the temple shake violently. Seor is scared, her body is floating, her hair is changing, and she looks in pain. Yeogwon tries to save her, but Hyo-jun catches her first. When in Hyo-jun's arms, Seor becomes calm and her hair turns black again, making Hyo-jun confused about what really happened. Hyo-jun places Seor at Seongbin Temple after the curse reappears. Yeogwon reveals that Hyo-chun's body has a ghost vision pattern that can block the curse, making it a protective talisman for Seor. In the morning, Seori wakes up and is surprised to find that her hair is still black. Meanwhile, Hyo-jun and Yeogwon clean up the temple after the incident last night. Yeogwon tries to make sure the pattern is still on Hyo-jun's body, but is caught, making Hyo-jun feel ticklish from being touched by another man. Yeogwon is curious about Hyo-chun's past, who turns out to be accused of being the man in the red robe. Yeogwon himself is looking for the man because he always kills people who put their wishes on the 100-year tree, and who made Seori fail to light the candle to remove her curse. They agree to keep this a secret from Seori. However, Seori appears and questions Hyo-chun's presence. Yeogwon explains that Hyo-chun's presence stabilizes the talismanic shield that protects the temple. Seor initially refuses, but Yeogwon persuades her to put aside her shame to remove the curse. Pung-yeon, who has just recovered, finds out that Hyo-jun escaped from prison and starts looking for him. He suspects that Hyo-jun is still in the village. On the other hand, Seor, who is making a potion to see ghosts, acts coldly towards Hyo-jun. However, Hyo-jun drinks the potion to seek information from the spirit of someone he misses. He persuades Seori to accompany him, saying that he is Seori's protector. Hyo-ak searches for information about Hyo-chun's whereabouts and tortures Seon-deok, who eventually reveals that Hyo-jun is on a trip. Meanwhile, Hyo-jun and Seori walk through the market, but Hyo-jun panics because he sees a ghost. They go to Kissen's house to look for Man-wol's spirit, but what Hyo-jun finds is a wandering female spirit. He is very scared in this situation. Then they decide to visit the water wheel hut where Man-wol died. Hyo-jun manages to meet Man-wol's spirit, who shows a mysterious symbol as a clue. Seo and Hyo-jun go to the 100-year tree, where Seo is saddened by the label that says Killer Tree. She feels guilty because all of this happened because of her. Yeogwon tries to calm her down, but Seori is still devastated. At the palace, Queen Shim holds a royal council, proposing a ritual for the king's healing and appointing Hae-ran as the head of the Taoist temple. Much to Hong-joo's fury, Queen Shim later learns from Hae-ran that the curse cannot be lifted since it is already bound to Hong-joo, and the only solution is the crown princess. On the other hand, the king is increasingly affected by Hong-joo's slanderous remarks about Queen Shim. Hae-ran is hurt by Hong-joo's black magic, but remains determined to uncover the truth. Seori has a plan to be able to light the candles again. She intends to meet someone who wrote a wish. Namely, want to meet someone you miss, to make sure that person remains safe after their wish comes true. Yeogwang initially refuses, but Hyo-jun convinces and agrees to the plan. They eventually go together to find the person's house. Seore brings a hallucination potion to make the person feel someone he misses. It turns out that there they met Pyeongyun and Sung-jae. The person who wrote the wish was Pyeongyun. When Seora's face was seen, Pyeongyun was shocked and called her Jang Hee. Likewise, Seora did not expect to meet her sister again,